Well, I've seen people who have just in a short period of time, they go all out, they do it exactly right, and in a couple of weeks, they're like, "Dang, I got off all my medication, my blood sugars are normal," and in a matter of a couple of weeks. And we've had other people that have, gone 6 months, and they're like, "Hey, I'm working on this, and it's just not working for me." And I was so proud of Monty. I think I forwarded you his email that he's his numbers. He said, "Okay, I'm just gonna stop eating," and he did stop eating, and his numbers came down to mostly in the normal range.
Whatever time it is where you are, we are excited that you guys are here. We were gone last week, and so we were all together celebrating as a team. We were talking about you guys, thinking about you guys, trying to figure out what we could do to make this an even better experience for you. And so we're excited to be back, maybe share some of that stuff with you guys and talk some more about reversing type 2 diabetes. So when you guys are on, say hello in the chat. You can ask questions during the webinar using the Q&A. For some reason, this isn't working on Facebook, so this won't be live there, but it will be live, or it will be on YouTube. So if you're watching this there, hello, you can comment there. There will also be a link for you to go right to bartonwebinar.com to see all of a link to our webinars, some information about our products and our top ask questions, just a whole bunch of information. So be sure to check that out. And like Joe said, we were riding a roller coaster. Nice. Yeah, we had a really good time.
I missed the mute button.
Oh.
Excuse me.
That's funny. One of the ladies on our team said this was probably the most fun trip that we've done yet. And I would agree.
Yeah.
It was really fun. We actually started day one by going to Busch Gardens in Tampa, and that was fun. We had a lot of fun there, and it was also really special because I think around 4 o'clock or so, they kind of lit the whole place up and turned it into a Christmas themed place. And that was really fun and really neat to see. So we had a great time. Monty is here. Hello, Terry Brown, you're back from North Texas. Jeffrey is here. Hello, Daniel. Hello, Tom is here from Eugene. Eugene where?
That's my dad's middle name, Eugene, Oregon. Well, the Oregon part isn't part of his middle name.
Like, that's interesting. Oh, yep. Esther said, oh, Esther's on. Awesome. Okay, Gail is here from Alberta. Yay. All right, guys, welcome. We're excited to have you. We are going to chat about phase 1 of our diabetes solution kit today. And I'm really excited to just really dive into this. Let us know if this is your first time here, or let us know if you are just getting started with the diabetes solution kit or new to wanting to reverse your type 2. Maybe you just found out that you were diagnosed or that you have type 2 and you're hoping to change that. I know that I've gotten a couple emails this week from people who have said, this is a really good email, and I can't remember her name. I'm not even looking at it, but the overview, I think she sent it to me this morning, said she has been following the diabetes solution kit. And this will be a question for Dr. Saunders, and has done really well. Her numbers have dropped. She's lost weight. She went to her doctor. Her doctor said, great job. You can get off of metformin, which I think is awesome that her doctor said that. Now she's noticing that her numbers are creeping up a little bit because she's just sticking to the diabetes solution kit. So when you see a patient like that, Dr. Saunders, they're off of their metformin, they're using the diabetes solution kit, and their numbers jump a little bit because they're getting off the drug. Does that bother you at all? What do you recommend?
Actually, it's great. It is not something to be worried about. It is not problematic because the blood glucose numbers are just an indicator. That's all. And so if you put a Band-Aid over it, if you have, like, let's say you had a cancer and you put a Band-Aid over it and go, see, no more cancer. Well, no, that's kind of a problem because that cancer is going to grow underneath the Band-Aid. So the medications are kind of like Band-Aids. So if you stop the medications and then it's like peeling the Band-Aid, you go, oh, look, I still got that problem there. Then you can start dealing with the problem. So it's actually, I look at it as a positive thing to say, oh, that's what your real blood sugar is. And so let's deal with the reality of it.
And I love that you've already started to do the work and your doctor said you could get off metformin. That's exciting. And we're proud of you. That's the goal for so many people. So keep us updated and I'll respond to your email too. I'm not sure if you're on here right now, but lots of first timers here, which is really exciting. And so we are going to talk about the Diabetes Solution Kit. Those of you who maybe are like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know how I got on this webinar. Here it is. This is the Diabetes Solution Kit. This is primarily what we talk about. And in this, you will find one way to reverse type 2. There are other ways to do it. We found this to be the most simple way. Is it easy? I don't know. Not super easy, right? Anytime you have to change your diet, it's not that easy. In fact, Dr. Saunders will tell you, some people will say that it's easier to switch your religion than it is to switch your diet. So kind of crazy.
It's hard.
And really, it isn't hard. It is very simple, right? But there's just a mental part of it, I think, that we have to adjust to. And the beauty, I think, of this entire program, this isn't a forever thing. You're not doing phase 1 forever. In fact, I was just rereading through phase 1 a little bit today. And I want to ask you about this, Dr. Saunders. So this is phase 1 is the jump start to your reversal. Okay, so this is going to be the hardest part. Now, when we put a time frame with phase 1, we wrote in here, it will likely take 2 to 4 weeks. How do you feel about that, Dr. Saunders? What do you think what can they expect?
It's so variable because you can have, well, I've seen people who have just in a short period of time, they go all out, they do it exactly right, and in a couple of weeks, they're like, dang, I got off all my medication, my blood sugars are normal. And in a matter of a couple of weeks. And we've had other people that have, gone 6 months and they're like, hey, I'm working on this and it's just not working for me. And I was so proud of Monty. I think I forwarded you his email that his numbers, he said, okay, I'm just gonna stop eating. And he did stop eating. And his numbers came down to mostly in the normal range. The morning went up because he still has insulin resistance, but still. So even someone who's been working a long time, when you find out what the problem is, and then you fix it, and then it comes back pretty quickly. So if you've been going for more than the 4 weeks that's recommended, and you're saying, gosh, nothing's changed, then there may need to be some more work done.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit more too. This is interesting. Richard says, my doctor says you can't reverse diabetes.
Right.
Pretty common?
That's pretty common. In fact, we're told in medical school that we can never use the word cure. In fact, if anybody uses the word cure, then the government will come down very hard on them. We've actually had that issue where we couldn't use the word cure diabetes. And even though you can take somebody who has diabetes and you can prove it, do all the tests and everything and prove they have diabetes, and then put them on the program, and then do all the tests and everything and prove that they don't have diabetes. So they did have diabetes and now they don't have diabetes. Do you call that cure? No, we can't. We can't use the word. And no medical doctor can. So every doctor is supposed to tell you, oh, your blood pressure's high. There's nothing you can do about it. Just take the drug for the rest of your life. Oh, you have diabetes. There's nothing you can do about it. Just take the drugs for the rest of your life. Oh, you have heart disease. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't cure it. Just take the drugs for the rest of your life, and which is going to be short, by the way. So, and that's what we're taught to do. That's medical school in a nutshell. So yes, exactly. Your doctor said you can't cure diabetes. Absolutely. That's what they're supposed to say.
And I will tell you too, there are a few words that we can't say on the webinars, like if we mention a certain virus that's been fairly prominent, starting in like 2020, if we mention that, we get banned. So just so you all know what we're dealing with, I think that's good.
Words.
Yes. So, yeah. Okay. So I want to
They
quick
used,
mention.
they used to call it censorship. They don't call it censorship anymore.
Right. Right. I have lots of thoughts about that, but that's for another day. Okay, so Rayanne said after 3 72-hour fasts, I see improvement as my average blood sugar is down. And instead of my blood sugar going up at night, it's now going down during the night. I plan to do another one in January. I still have work to do, but my blood sugar average is much better.
Woohoo! Good work.
I
See,
know.
I like to hear those stories. And notice that was an extracurricular activity. That wasn't something that was in the book. It's not by the book, and it was something extra. And that's why we have the webinars. How do you make it personal for you? That's what we're doing.
Right. Lots of good questions here. So I'm going to kind of dig into this a little bit because I can see we have some questions relating to the diabetes solution kit. For example, John says it seems like the most important step in reversing diabetes is eating a low carb diet below 20 grams of total carbs per day. Please list a few more steps so that I can get my A1C below 6.0. Thank you, John from South Carolina. I'm curious, John, do you have the diabetes solution kit, and are you just getting started? That's what I'm wondering. And we're going to dig into this. So guys, if you have this, you can follow along if you would like. I'm actually going to start on page 34. We're just going to touch on some of these basics, and then you guys can ask some questions as we go through it. One of the things that I think is important to chat about is, okay, we're in phase 1. We're doing all this really hard work, but what is our goal, Dr. Saunders? Where do we want to see our blood sugar numbers in phase 1? What's the goal?
The goal is to get down to between 70 and 90 on a fasting glucose. So the morning before you eat, it should be between 70 and 90. That is optimal. Okay. Now, everybody knows about, or we've talked about the dawn effect, right? The morning effect, because you're making glucose, your body's making it, your liver's making extra glucose. And then if you have insulin resistance, your cortisol goes up. Well, your cortisol goes up anyway and causes extra insulin resistance. So your blood glucose tends to go up in the morning. And that's an indicator that you still have insulin resistance. So still staying on phase 1 is a good idea until you're consistently, by consistently, everybody goes, how long, how many days? If you're a couple of weeks and you're consistently between 70 and 90, well, that'd be a good time to start moving on to phase 2.
Okay, guys, I'm going to launch this poll. Don't get distracted by it. When you have a minute, you can answer this. I just want to. Go ahead.
One little thing. Okay, so I'm using numbers from the United States, 70 to 90. That would be if you're from Canada, the number's around 4. So, and it's like 3.8 to 4.8 kind of thing. So somewhere around 4 is your optimal range, between 4 and 5.
All right. Okay, I'm going to launch this poll, guys, because we want to know about some topics that you guys might be interested in the future. So as you think about them, I'm going to leave this up for a little bit. Don't be distracted by it, but answer it whenever you have time, but make sure you pay attention too, right? Okay, so here we go. Tom says, I've been on this program for 3 weeks. I'm down 10 pounds from 238 to 228. And fasting blood sugar was 102 this morning, down from 140, from the 140s. What is the difference between phase 1 and the Atkins diet?
Actually, phase 1 is very similar to the Atkins diet, but we made some tweaks because the first 2 weeks of the Atkins diet, it's what does he call it? Anyway, the initial phase in the Atkins diet, they give you 2 weeks of pretty much a 20-gram carbohydrate diet, a similar kind of thing. but they advocate eating a lot of fat, and we don't. What we say is decrease the carbs, the net carbs, but increase your fiber carbs. So we like to see people. We have a lot of free foods. You know, you can have all the lettuce and celery and spinach and cauliflower and broccoli. You can have all that stuff you want. In fact, we encourage you to eat a lot of that stuff. And those are all carbs, but they're fiber carbs. They're not digestible carbs. So that's a lot of the difference there. Is I would not advocate a what do I always say, a bacon sausage cheese omelet with cream to drink for milk. And they do in the Atkins program. So that's what I would say is different.
Okay, so we're going to keep going. We're going to talk about some more about what we can eat. So on page 35, I'm just going to show you guys, there's a lot of information about the different things that you can eat. Okay, so we go really in depth about this. The thing that I love about phase 1 is not only do we give you all these recommended foods, ideas for free foods, we give you some case studies. We talk about the nuts that you can eat. We talk about condiments that you can use, all of this good information. And then this is the best part. We lay out a 7-day meal plan for you. So we get a lot of questions from people like, what do I eat? I don't know what to do. And this is a really good option if you're someone who needs some help. Okay, so the recipes are in the back. This is, we have these split out so that you're going to be getting 20 grams or less carbs per day by eating 3 meals. Now, here's the beauty of this. It doesn't matter how you're getting your 20 carbs. If you want to eat 1 meal a day, you could. If you want to eat 2 meals a day, you can. In this, Dr. Saunders really does recommend that you do not snack between your meals. And Dr. Saunders, can you explain why that's important?
There's a lot of good evidence for this, and that is every time you eat, you make more insulin. And so every time you eat, you release insulin, and then you make yourself more insulin resistant. So insulin sensitivity happens when your stomach is empty. That's part of it. The other part is digestion itself. You don't get all the benefit of your food if your stomach doesn't digest it all the way. And the best way to get the enzymes and acid and everything working properly for digestion is to have space between meals. So your stomach needs to get empty. And then once it's empty, everything resets. Your intestines reset, your pancreas resets, your stomach resets. And so then you can digest your food better. So there's a lot of good reasons to have an empty stomach between meals. So leaving 4 to 5 hours between a meal. If you eat at 7 o'clock in the morning, wait till 1 o'clock to eat, noon or 1 o'clock to eat. That would be really good.
Okay, we have a question that had come in from Diana. She was just diagnosed 5 days ago and got her plan yesterday, going back to see the doctor tomorrow. First of all, so you were just diagnosed and you hopped online from that point until now and found us. I'm assuming then, right? That's pretty awesome. Nice work. You were digging in, I'm assuming. Let us know. Okay, and you're going back to see your doctor tomorrow, probably for a medication prescription. Really don't want to take any metformin. Any suggestions for alternative drugs? And guess what? You're in luck because it's this. This is the alternative.
Alternative to drugs, yeah.
Yes. So that is really what we're talking about. And I'm being serious. I'm saying that like I'm being funny, but I really am serious. This is the #1 thing that Dr. Saunders recommends to all of his patients after they've been diagnosed. And so we'll keep talking through some of this so that you know. Mariette asked where you can get this book. If you guys go to bartonwebinar.com, you'll find a link to this. And I would recommend that you use the code webinar25, one word, you'll save 25%. So you can get this hard copy. It takes a little bit longer to get to you and you'll pay a little bit more just because it's going to get printed and shipped. Or you can get the downloaded version right away today for under $20. Really inexpensive. Actually, yeah, use your code. You'll save 30% off of that too. So bartonwebinar.com, and I'll post that here in the chat in just a minute. So, but really good question. And Diana, there have been a lot of people who've been on the webinars for a very long time. And you know, I don't know how we say this, Dr. Saunders. Many people want a quick fix that's in a pill form. I mean, I get it. That would be easier than doing the work of this, right? But this is where real lasting change happens. This is where you get to the actual root of the problem. And so that's what we're trying to do with the diabetes solution kit. Okay, so let's keep moving on. Some other things I just want to touch base on are the foods that we want to avoid. I think food can fall into two separate categories when we're talking about things that we want to avoid. We have the high carb items, but then there's also the food that's not good for you, right? So you got to think about those kind of things. Foods that we want to eliminate. We have a list. It's on page 39 if you have the book. Really the things that are high in carbs and the oils that are not good for you. So we have done what, guys, we have what, nearly 250 webinars on our YouTube channel right now where we've talked about things like this. Vegetable oils, those wouldn't be a top choice. In fact, those would be bad. Okay. Grits, canned soup, most wheat-based products, beans, and then we put except for red, kidney, and black. Breadcrumbs, croutons, tortillas, cornbread. Think through some of those things. And, you know, a lot of people will say, many people hop on the webinar, they're trying to lower their carbs, and they'll say, well, I had oatmeal for breakfast. There's a lot of carbs in oatmeal. And so you got to really look at the stuff that you're eating right now and think, is that worth it? Do I want to eat all of my carbs in one meal like that? It's kind of up to you. But anyway, here's a whole list of things. How about, let's see, Dr. Saunders, tell us about cereal. Why do we not want to eat cereal other than the fact that it has a ton of carbs?
Okay, I think the single worst thing people eat for type 2 or for diabetes, for their metabolism, the single worst thing that they eat is cereal. Cold cereal has become a staple of many diets. I've had people, and more than one, and these aren't the same people. These are like people go, oh well, I'm vegan, and so you know, I'm really healthy, and I don't get it. And so and then they say they don't eat vegetables. I'm like, well, how can you be vegan and not eat vegetables? Well, I just have cold cereal for breakfast, and I have rice for lunch, and I have pasta for dinner. But without any without any vegetables. So cold cereal is something that should just generally be avoided altogether, like always. And I know Leslie's laughing because we had granola when we were all together last week. And I got up in the morning and I had there were all these strawberries there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, strawberries and granola. And I actually ate cold cereal. I don't buy it. I don't have it, but you know.
I will say, I think the granola was an organic, natural something granola that was purchased. And actually,
still I will
also say that most everyone that had it only had a tiny bit of it on top of their yogurt. I will say that. Yeah. So, you know, it's all depends on how you do it, guys. Tell you what. Yeah, it's hard to eat well when you're on a big trip.
Yeah, right. Rice Krispies are not good. Cold cereals, all the cold cereals have something in common, and that is a very rapidly absorbed carbohydrate. So people think like Cheerios are good for you because they're whole grain oats, right? But they're a little bit of whole grain oats and a whole lot of starch. And look on there, there's modified food starch or cornstarch in it, which is a large amount of what's in like Cheerios. So yeah, just cold cereal should just be avoided generally.
What I would recommend is, as you're looking through some of the options for your meals, whether you're looking at the foods that we recommend or you're looking through some of the recipes, find a few things that you really like. Maybe you're like, I know I can eat eggs in the morning. I feel good when I eat eggs, and that's not a problem. Okay, great. Plan that for once a day where you're going to have eggs. Find some meals, plug them into your daily plan, and then add another one. Try a new recipe. There are so many things that you can find online that are low carb, good recipes. In fact, some of you on here right now can probably share a ton of those. So if you guys want to go to the Barton Webinar Facebook group, share away there, guys. That's what that group is for you guys to share with each other, to interact with each other, to learn from each other. But that's a great place to find some good recipes too. You can keep it really simple and eat the same thing, you know, twice a day if you want, or you can mix it up. So, okay, let's move on from that just a little bit here. There is some space where you can create your own plan, guys, for eating, or you can follow ours for the first week. Take a look at some of those. I mean, cream cheese pancakes. That doesn't sound terrible, right? You're basically using cream cheese and eggs, if you want to know the secret to that. But there's some really good stuff in here, I think. Pizza casserole. We have a low carb pot roast that you make in the slow cooker. Easy cashew chicken with bell peppers, baked salmon, Dr. Scott ceviche. You got to do that. That's a good one. That's only 9.6 carbs, guys. So lots of really good options. Those cream cheese pancakes are 1.5 carbs. Now, the key is don't take a bottle of maple syrup and pour it on top of that. You know, you still got to watch those things. You got to watch for the sweeteners to come in another way. Someone had also mentioned in a question, I wonder if I can find it. So instead of eating a lot, you know, if they need like a snack or something, they might have some tea. Or someone had mentioned chewing gum. And I just want to go ahead and address this right now. What about artificial sweeteners of any kind? What if we want to drink Crystal Light that has Splenda, or we want to drink a stevia drink, or we want to chew sugar-free gum or sugar-free candy? Why could that get us into trouble, Dr. Saunders?
The artificial sweeteners are many times sweeter than sugar. What that means is they stimulate that sweet receptor much stronger than sugar does. And because of that, they actually cause more insulin to be released. And multiple studies have been done on this. And at first it was from the 1970s when nobody could figure out why. Every time they did a study with Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi versus regular Coke or regular Pepsi, the ones on the diet drinks gained more weight than the ones on the sugar drinks. And they're like scratching their heads going, what the heck? There's no calories, and yet they're gaining weight faster than the ones that eating a bunch of sugar are drinking a bunch of sugar. And so it turns out the problem is that stimulation of the sweet receptors causes the release of insulin. Insulin is the hormone that's the problem. So you want to decrease insulin as much as possible. So anything with artificial sweeteners, in fact, any sweeteners at all, I know we put in there, if you have to sweeten something, use maple syrup. But you know, maple syrup is syrup, and it is sugar. It's sucrose, which is a fructose and glucose. So you know, honey is essentially, well, honey is a little more concentrated, which is why I think maple syrup was chosen. But the sweeteners of any kind, anything that tastes sweet, even artificial sweeteners, will cause the release of insulin and completely destroy your program. I mean, because what you really want is to decrease insulin resistance or increase insulin sensitivity, which the artificial sweeteners will block that from happening.
Alexander says, look at the cereals from Nature's Path. That is the brand of the granola that we had. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that is. That's the one we had.
Yeah. Okay, a couple more things I'm going to quick just show you that are in phase 1 of the diabetes solution kit. So here's your 7-day meal grocery list plan. If you were to completely wipe out your pantry and refrigerator and restock it with healthy items, this is what you'd need. And then we also have exercise and physical activity plan. And I think that's really important. Now you're going to find information about exercise and you're going to find information about stress in this as well. And those are two really big pieces to this. We talk about these on a lot of our webinars. Find an exercise plan that works for you. Do something that requires you to move or get cardio, vascular activity or lift weights or whatever it is that you can do for exercise. And then stress relief is super, super important. So those are kind of two other things to really address when you're doing phase one, but that's included in the diabetes solution kit as well. So I want to jump into some more of your questions, guys. I'm going to shut that poll off in just a second. So if you want to go back to that poll that I posted, said, what are some topics concerning type 2 that you would like for us to cover on these webinars? Okay. Another thing we talked about in our team gathering last week, where we all came together in Tampa, which was lovely, although the sun didn't come out, which was kind of a bummer. We had 4 days with no sun, I think. So, but it was still lovely. We talked about, what did we say, Dr. Saunders? Maybe even if you guys were to go and get some of your blood work done, maybe we do some case studies where we talk about your blood work, or Dr. Saunders brings in some blood work from, wherever, I guess, his patients or whatever we do. We won't say names, and talk through.
We thought that would be a great addition to the webinar, to have, instead of just random topics, which we could talk about and answering questions, that we would start off with a case study. So if someone wanted to bring up their case, or a case of a friend of theirs, or a friend or a relative, and say, okay, so this is the issue. Okay, and just go over the statistics, and we would probably have an outline for people to follow. So you could enter in your information. We would bring that up, and we would be able to discuss that. So height, weight, age, and then hemoglobin A1C and the numbers, and we'll go, okay, this person weighs this much, has this much, and is this age, and has these numbers, and this means this means this. And then you guys would get a good idea of what everything means, and where it is, and then how to get to the next step. And then we would talk about that.
So let us know what you think, guys. I think that'd be great. John Miller says, what about the Carb Smart tortillas? 15 carbs, 11 fiber. So that would give us 4 net grams of carbs. What do you think about those? What do you think about those low carb options? Or there's keto options and those kind of things?
Yeah, well, just count them. Just count your 20 grams, and that's 4 right there. So I think it's fine. I think they're okay. I use the almond tortillas. My wife's gluten-free, so I use the almond tortillas, and I like them. They work well. I make wraps out of them.
Yeah, okay, so a couple of people have mentioned are they egg? I can't think what they're called. There's some type of an egg wrap. Some of you probably know what I'm talking about. But people really like them. You keep them in the refrigerator. I've never had them, but I've heard that people like them. So if you've tried those, let me know. If you know what they're called, that'd be great too. Daniel says, why do I risk stopping my 1000 metformin twice a day? Oh, what do I risk stopping my 1000 metformin twice a day and switching to berberine? My latest A1C was 8.5.
8.5 is clearly diabetic. And if you're starting the diabetes solution kit, so phase 1, if you're doing phase 1, there's nothing you lose by stopping any medications at all, because phase 1, you're not taking in enough carbohydrates for your body to burn every day. So if you're actually doing it, phase 1, then there aren't any medications you need, unless you have type 1, where you're not making enough insulin, in which case then you're going to have to inject insulin or find another way. And in some cases, people have a small amount of insulin and they can still go without medications. So keep in mind what the medications do. It's putting a Band-Aid over a cancer. It's not something that makes you better. In fact, it makes you worse. So anything that causes more release of insulin is making you more insulin resistant. That's a problem. And that's pretty much what the research shows. So, discuss with your doctor about that. If your hemoglobin A1C is that high, 8 point whatever, that's that's significant. But if you're going on phase 1, then you may not need those medications at all. And to add berberine, that's fine. Adding berberine is fine. And it's okay to just, I often, when people come in on metformin, I'll just trade them onto berberine, and that's not a bad way. But you do need berberine, the same thing, twice a day. Do 500 milligrams twice a day.
If you guys are wondering what happens after phase 1, there is a phase 2 and a phase 3, and we will be covering those in the next few weeks. So now's a great time really to start, because we're going to be talking through these phases with you probably as you're moving along. So I'd highly recommend you get started. Again, find this at bartonwebinar.com. Okay, more questions here. I love this from John. I've been watching these webinars for about 7 months. Yes, I have the diabetes solution kit. My weight is down from 173 to 158. My blood sugar, my blood sugar is in the 80s every morning. My last A1C in November was 6.5. It is pure willpower and determination to limit yourself to 20 total carbs.
Wow, good work. Good work. So he's finished phase 1. He's got consistently his morning blood sugars in the 80s. Well, you don't have insulin resistance anymore, so that's great.
Okay, and then how about, knowing that his blood sugar numbers are in the 80s every morning, and his A1C as of November was at 6.5.
Oh, as of November, 6.5. Wow. How does that happen?
So, but if that's like an average, though.
Yeah. So his postprandial sugars must be really high. After eating, it probably jumps up pretty high. If I had a patient like that with consistently in the 80s of the hemoglobin A1C that high, I would do the glucose tolerance test with insulin. So you drink a syrup, glucose syrup, and then, before you drink the syrup, you do your sugar, glucose, insulin level, glucose, blood insulin, and then you drink it. And then an hour later, you do your glucose insulin, then 2 hours glucose insulin, 3 hours glucose insulin. And so you get a curve, and you see what happens. And if you see after that glucose, it shoots up and it stays up the whole time, then for 3 hours, then your insulin level just barely goes up, then you know that there's something wrong with your pancreas. That's what I would do.
Okay. But you're doing well. I mean, your stuff is looking good though, so that's exciting.
Yeah, good work. Good work.
Okay. We have a Zoom user who says I am on Synthroid, maybe Synthroid?
Synthroid, yeah.
Okay. And I found a natural medication called Thyrogard by Nutrients. Dr. Saunders, have you ever heard of this?
I haven't heard of Thyrogard. There's a whole lot of thyroid supplements. And I don't know what Thyrogard is. You can get natural thyroid extract, thyroid glandular extracts and stuff. And people often take those instead of the Synthroid. Synthroid is made by bacteria. Essentially, it's a synthetic thyroid. But the thyroid from every species of animal is exactly the same. The chemistry, the actual chemical thyroid hormone is the same in every species, so it doesn't change. Like estrogens are different in every species, and but thyroid's all the same. So if you get a thyroid extract, that's okay. Thyrogard, I don't know. Some of them they have iodine and selenium and tyrosine, which are kind of the basic building blocks of or what's necessary for making thyroid. So some of them do that. So I'm not sure what that is, but you know what? Actually, with my patients, I play around with thyroid a lot. I tell people, go off it, see how you feel. Just go off it. You can just stop it. And people are like, what? I can stop it. I've been on it for 10 years. You can stop it. It's okay. But my doctor said if I ever ran out, I would die. No, you're not going to die. So, and we see, and we've had some people go, yeah, I need it. They clearly needed it because they got slow and sluggish and constipated and cold all the time. But other people went off and they go, I didn't even notice a difference. And so they got off their thyroid medication. So as to whether you need it or not, you have to test periodically.
Okay. Francis says it's Francis from New Zealand. And then we have some numbers for Francis. So January 2023, hemoglobin A1C was 104. And then in December, it was 74. He's been taking 2 Synachroma for 4.5 months, taking 2 Nervala for 2.5 months, and taking 2 berberine for 1.5 months. With Nervala taking 2 a day, is 60 days long enough? And can you go down to 1 a day after?
For most people, 60 days is long enough. But if you look at the studies of these for people with neuropathy, they went 90 days to 6 months. And it was some people were getting better gradually over 6 months. So the time to go down to 1 a day is after you no longer have neuropathy. So if you're not having numbness, tingling, weakness in your feet, then you can go down to 1.
Right. Zoom user says, I got my lab report from my doctor and I don't understand hardly a darn thing. It's so frustrating, and she won't do a peptide or insulin test. I've lost over 10 pounds. I feel better. My A1C was 7. It's now at 6.1 and it won't move. I really feel like it's my insulin, but I don't have anything to go on. I finally got fed up and weaned myself off metformin, my cholesterol pills, and my blood thinners. Am I being stupid or what? I'm just upset about not getting any answers from my doc.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job. Think about it. 6.1 is non-diabetic. So you started out with a hemoglobin A1C of 7, and you had diabetes, and now you don't have diabetes. Now you have pre-diabetes. So think about how far you've come. You've done a remarkable job, but it's not over yet. You want to get that hemoglobin A1C down to 5.2. So the process of doing that is the phase 1 that we were just talking about today.
I was also going to say, if you have your lab results, be fun to look at it at some point. That might be an option for us. So
yeah, but the doctor doesn't check insulin levels. So.
Oh yeah, so then okay, you're right. All right. Anonymous says I've been taking metformin for 2 years. First for prediabetes and then continued for type 2. Can I stop my metformin and go straight to your diabetes solution kit?
Absolutely.
You can also do them side by side.
I do that. I do that with people all the time, and I shouldn't make recommendations to you specifically. So as a general rule, metformin is not something that somebody needs. It's really primarily to relieve a symptom. And it does not make you better. It does not get rid of diabetes. It doesn't cure anything or reverse anything. So that's why I say absolutely, because the phase 1 is going to absolutely reverse it and cure it. Did I use that word?
No, I don't think that's what you said. It was something else, but it just sounded like it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So also, you know what? I forgot to even do a disclaimer. So what Dr. Saunders said is important. This is for general purposes only. Okay, that's our disclaimer. Please consult with me.
Yeah.
We don't usually forget that, but I will post it on the video as well. Okay. Cheryl says my numbers are going down and my metformin has been lowered, but now my cholesterol is going up. My doctor wants me to add fish oil and red yeast rice supplements. Any recommendations on this?
Wow, that's really cool.
Right. I was like, who's your doctor?
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so that's very telling that a doctor would recommend omega-3. That's really important. Omega-3 is really important for managing the cholesterol and keeping it normal, because that's what lowers the inflammation. And so that's part of it. But but keep in mind that your optimum cholesterol, your perfect cholesterol, is between 220 and 250. So anything in that range is great. If it's over 250, yeah, you need to do something, and both of those would be okay. Red rice yeast is a statin. That's what it is, actually. It's a natural statin, and it inhibits the production of cholesterol. And there's nothing wrong with that if your cholesterol is like 300 or something like that. But so you want to keep it in the 200 to 250 range. And if you keep it in the 220. If you keep it 220 to 250, if you're above that, yeah, take the red rice yeast. If you're below that, then don't take it. But still do the omega-3. That's a good idea. The fish oil is still a good idea.
Also know a really good place to get some omega-3, and that would be at Barton Nutrition, because we have a great omega-3 product, you guys. And if you use code webinar25, you'll save 25%. I'll post that in the chat in just a bit. Okay, a couple more questions here. Melinda said, I've had great success on the detox solution kit. Thank you. I do find that I have to go back to phase 1 often. My issue now is severe water retention. I'm on a high dose of furosemide, a water pill, and the doctors are suggesting dialysis. I have low kidney function. Please help me. I'm desperate.
Okay. Darn, I wish I could know your numbers to address this well. But if low kidney function and holding on to water is not a good sign, the furosemide is okay. It's like a Band-Aid again. It's not going to fix anything, but it's going to make you dehydrated. And so I prefer for my patients, instead of using furosemide, because it gets rid of potassium. And so it makes you dehydrated. And remember, there's 3 types of dehydration. It makes you potassium dehydrated as well as water dehydrated. So I think, and the reason the doctors use that is because people with kidney failure tend to not be able to get rid of potassium very easily. So furosemide's not a bad choice, but on top of the furosemide, maybe even taking the furosemide, do fluid restriction. And by fluid restriction, it's like wait until you're thirsty to drink, and drink small amounts and have some sodium. You can get those little electrolyte packs or something, but you got to be careful. If you have kidney failure, you don't want to add extra potassium because you could get too much. Your kidneys have a hard time getting rid of potassium in kidney failure. So I don't know your numbers specifically, but generally, if you're swelling, you have too much water, and the only reason for a furosemide is to make you dehydrated. That's its purpose, is to dehydrate you. And so you can do the same thing by not drinking so much. So consider that as an option, or maybe talk to your doctor about that as an option.
Rayanne said, is it normal to not have a bowel movement when fasting? I'm usually regular, but on day 2 and 3 of a fast, I don't have a bowel movement. Could my stomach be that empty?
Yep, that's perfectly normal. Absolutely. You're not putting any fiber down into your gut. Your bacteria have nothing to eat, and they just don't eat anything. They don't make anything. There's nothing there. It's okay.
All right. Jeff Brown says, is Synachroma a scam or does it work? I bought a 6-month supply to see what happens, been on it for 2 months so far and haven't really seen any changes.
Okay, the purpose for Synachroma is to make sure you have adequate levels of nutrients that are necessary for processing glucose, sugar, and using it for energy, because people who are deficient in these things get resistant to insulin easily because they don't use glucose very well. So it's a support for the program, the Diabetes Solution Kit. So if you're not seeing results, go back to the Diabetes Solution Kit, because that's where you actually see results, is from doing phase 1 of the program.
Those of you on Zoom can see Joe in the background getting his squats in. Oh, just another day in the life of the Bartons. It's so funny. Okay. Let's see. I like this. This is a good question. Julie said, is type 2 like alcoholism? You can't cure it, but with the abstinence of sugar and restricted simple carbs, you can reverse it. But if you aren't sober, you'll be relapsing.
Yeah, that's not a bad analogy. Someone just said, I find I have to go back to phase one all the time, and we've had several people tell us that they go into phase two and they're doing well for a while, and then they start creeping up, and they have to go back to phase one again. And you know what? Yeah, that's not a bad way to put it.
And I think your body learns though a little bit too, right? I mean, don't you think your body can process sugar a little bit better once it hasn't had it for a long time? Am I wrong in saying that?
In a way, yes. It's not that it hasn't had it for a long time. It's that your cells store sugar. There's a whole bunch of what's called glycogen stored inside your cells, and if you don't have sugar for a while, you remove all of that, you use it up, and then they have no storage, so they make a whole bunch of insulin receptors. So it makes you really insulin sensitive, and then you process sugar really well. You make a little bit of insulin, and everybody sucks up all the sugar. And so it keeps your sugar level, your glucose level, pretty low all the time.
All right. John said, I had trouble limiting my carbs to 20 grams per day after I did the month of June with no carbs. July was just too hot to walk 3 miles every morning. In June, my lowest blood sugar was 78 once I started to eat a low carb diet. It was tough for me to not go over the 20 grams of carbs. I have developed a daily menu of food I like now. So I want my next A1C to be below 6 or lower. My daily blood sugar readings for July, August, September, October was anywhere from 110 to 190.
Okay. That's amazing. Good work.
Yes.
You've discovered over time, you've individualized the program to you to say, I found things that I like that I can eat that are low in carbohydrate. That's great.
I love that. And I love that you've developed your own daily menu. I love that. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That is great. And everyone can do that as well. Okay. Oh, there's so many more questions in here. Okay. What did I see? Tom said, what do you think about taking a baby aspirin each day?
Okay, I've looked at the research, and the recommendations are all over the place. Yes, absolutely everybody should, and no, absolutely everybody should not. And then in between, some people should and some people should not. I'm more of the in-between opinion because there's risks and benefits, and when I look at the risks and the benefits, if you have a clotting issue and you don't want clots to form in your blood vessels and cause heart disease and vascular disease and all that stuff, then taking aspirin every day. If you don't have a clotting issue, then aspirin is not good. And if you want to do something better that's always good for you and will not cause bleeding or stomach ulcers or anything like that, like aspirin can do, take the fish oil. A good omega-3 oil is going to thin your blood, prevent clotting, and help you repair and keep your cholesterol normal, and improve your insulin resistance. It's just all around a better thing to do than aspirin.
Okay, so Melinda says, my kidney function is at 15. What does that mean?
Okay. That was the same Melinda that had the issues, right? With
I think so.
The kidney that was swelling up. Okay, 15 means that's really low kidney function. So normal kidney function is over 60, and that's called the estimated glomerular filtration rate. Over 60 is normal. 40 is functional, but low. It's called stage 3. When you get down into the 20s, it's stage 4, and then down below 20 is stage 5, which is where you start talking about dialysis. So then the question is, can you improve kidney function? And that's where we don't have any good research to show that you can improve kidney function. Your best bet is to decrease insulin resistance as much as possible. Do the 6-10 reset so that you have anabolic metabolism. Take a half a teaspoon of baking soda in water and drink it down every day. And those are the only things I know of that can improve it. That I would also consider taking Nervala because it improves blood flow in the tiny blood vessels. And that's how it helps the nerves. And I haven't seen any research on it for kidneys, but it's been used for reversing nerve problems. And so I would take it for that.
Okay. There was a good question here. Okay, so Tim, I believe Tim was the one, actually, I don't know if he asked this, but if you were to replace your metformin with berberine, what are we looking at for dosing? How much berberine?
Yeah, berberine, 500 milligrams twice a day. And the evidence shows that 3 times a day is better than twice a day. And so if you need more, it's better to put more in during the day, because the berberine doesn't last a long time. So it needs to be more regular. So if you did 500 milligrams 3 times a day, that would be good. But otherwise, just generally, if you're taking metformin 500 milligrams twice a day, just take berberine 500 milligrams twice a day. If you're taking metformin 1,000 milligrams twice a day, then you might take berberine 500 milligrams 3 times a day.
Okay, so Tim is taking metformin, looking to replace it. Also, any hope of getting off Trulicity? Why would we be taking metformin and Trulicity?
Trulicity increases insulin, tells your pancreas to make more insulin, and metformin it works in a different way. So doctors will often use 2 different types of drugs to get a synergistic effect to lower blood sugar. But our focus, one of the things we want to do is change the focus from glucose to insulin. And so the doctor that somebody mentioned earlier refused to do any insulin tests or C-peptide tests, is from the point of view that doctor has a point of view of all we need to do is look at the blood sugar and control the blood sugar. Well, again, that's the Band-Aid over the cancer problem. You're putting the blood sugar is not the problem. The blood sugar is a marker for the problem. In fact, there is plenty of evidence to show that insulin resistance causes, kidney failure and heart disease and neuropathy long before the blood sugar goes up. That you already have these issues from insulin resistance. So the problem is insulin resistance. Blood sugar is a marker. It's a better thing to follow the insulin resistance. And one of the things we use for marking that is that fasting blood glucose in the morning. Because the morning blood glucose with the dawn effect, if you have insulin resistance, it goes up. If you don't have insulin resistance, it stays in the 70 to 90 range, or the between 4 and 5 range.
Okay. Tim had said our berberine tablets are 400 milligrams each. Would it make sense then to just do 2 of those? Is that good?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Dr. Saunders, you get to go be with your patients. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you tomorrow.
Perfect timing. Bye.
Bye-bye. And those of you who are wondering about what's happening tomorrow, well, that's our Healthy Heart webinar, and that starts at 12 noon Central every Thursday. You can register for that at bartonwebinar.com. But Dr. Saunders comes back and we talk about how to keep your heart healthy. So same format. You can ask questions. It's an awesome webinar. So we'll see you for that. Go to bartonwebinar.com. You'll find links to all of our past videos. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and be notified every time that we upload a new video.
One quick note on the berberine. So yes, ours are 400 milligrams each, but we also added milk thistle, which improves absorption. So it's basically the same as getting 500 milligrams. So just an FYI.
And also, guys, it's Christmas week. So have a Merry Christmas. If I don't see you tomorrow on the webinar.
Great job, Leslie.
Thanks.
Rocked it.
You know what?
Enjoyed my stretches in the background.
We did enjoy that. I hope they come through on the YouTube video, but they probably won't. So that was awesome.
That's probably better.
That was good. Okay, Merry Christmas, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow or next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Bye-bye.